Hey guys, with my Snow White and the Huntsman movie review. Now, when I first saw the trailer for this, I was like, no. Just no, I'm not going to see this. And I didn't want to see this movie. I don't know why. The trailer didn't make it look very good. I'm not a big fan of Kristen Stewart or Chris Hemsworth. They're not very good actors, I don't think. I think they both overact. Kristen Stewart, who played Snow White, she did an okay job in this. She did better than she did in the Twilight series. There was only one bit that I didn't really like, where she was where she just woke up, and she was like yelling at all the soldiers, like, "Yeah, come on, come fight with me," and stuff. And that was a bit over the top for her. Chris Hemsworth's character, I don't know what to say about him. He didn't suit the character. His character was the Huntsman, and the Huntsman was a drunken lowlife who just saw his wife get killed or whatnot, or not. He didn't see her get killed, but his wife was just killed by the Queen, played by old Charlize Theron. So yeah, Charlize Theron played the Queen, and she always does a great part in all of her movies. She just did Prometheus. She played Meredith Vickers in Prometheus, which she did a great job in. She's getting a lot of movie roles now. She has been in the movie industry for quite a while. But yeah, she did suit the part though, Charlize Theron. And she actually surprised me in this role, because when I first saw the trailer, I was like, that's probably the only reason I would go and see it. That was, at the time, for me, Charlize Theron was the only part of this movie that I would go and see it for. And, you know, the ads just didn't make it look interesting to me. And my mum asked me if I wanted to go, and a few of my friends asked me if I wanted to go. And I ended up going just with my mum. And, we ended up both really liking it. I mean, I ended up loving it. This movie was just great. It blew my mind. I mean, I thought it was just going to be a big pile of shit, overacting crap. And it was actually really good. The special effects are good, and Chris Hemsworth, that was a real letdown from him. I mean, he was great in Thor. Don't get me wrong, he did a great part in Thor, but for this movie, he didn't suit the Huntsman. Kristen Stewart did a okay job, better than the Twilight films. I was actually surprised with her character. The music was really good. Charlize Theron did a fantastic job. And yeah, it was just great. I mean, some of the camera work in here was just fucking amazing. It blew my mind, some of the camera shots in here. Like, when the battle scenes were happening and they were spinning around really fast. Like, do you know, if you've ever seen the film before, it's not a spoiler here, but when they're riding along the beach, like, all the horse and all the soldiers, when they're riding, the camera just went all the way around, like, went around in front of them, and it was going really fast. That scene blew my mind. I was like, that is just great camera work. I got goosebumps on my arm. It was a great scene, that. It just blew my mind, and some of the camera work that they had in here. Yeah, some of the costumes weren't the best, I must say. The only good costumes I had in here was the costumes, like the armor that they made Kristen Stewart wear. That was pretty good, but the dress they made her wear earlier in the film was fucking disastrous. And I must say, also in this film, this film was not slow. There was only probably one little slow bit, which is where all the dwarves were sitting around the campfire. That was probably the only boring scene for me. And there was a few things happening in the theatre that I went to. For starters, for the first 15 minutes of the film, there was a fucking crying baby in the theatre. That really fucked me up. The mum took the baby out after about 15 minutes, which I was really glad about, because I was like, fucking take that baby out. And she finally did, and after about 25 minutes, she brought it back, and I was like, alright, here we go. Let's get out of the way, we'll get her crying again. And she actually was pretty good for the rest of the film. You could barely hear the baby. You could hear her a few bits, like, there's some slight bits of it, but after that, you couldn't really hear her. I must say, the storyline of this was that Charlize Theron's character, she plays the Queen, and so pretty much the Queen was found in, well, she wasn't the queen at the time, but the king, he lost his wife, and you know, he's all alone, and he ends up going into battle, and then him and his soldiers end up opening up like a carriage that was left behind from one of the wars that they were in, and they opened up and there was a woman lying in there, and they took it back, and the guy ended up marrying her, like the king. And the first night that they were married, the new queen, Charlize Theron, she pretty much killed him, and she ends up taking over. She ends up, you know, going all dark. She made this dark forest, and everything died, and she was just an evil witch or queen, and she made everyone move out of the castle and move into the run-down little city out the front of the castle, like a few miles down, and she just had her soldiers living in the castle, and she locked Snow White up in the top of the tower, because what happened was, after she killed the king, she let her brother and a whole bunch of the soldiers in, and they wiped out the city. They made everyone leave, and Snow White was a child, and they locked her up, and most of the people got away, like most of the soldiers and everything. And yeah, she locked the gate. She just ran over everything, and it didn't say it, but it jumped to a few years later, like 10 years later. It didn't say anything about it, and it showed when Snow White got older. She was like 20, 25, and she ends up escaping from the tower, and she ends up running off, and she wants to go back to her people, you know, because they're at another castle at the moment. And then the queen, she hires a huntsman to go and find her, and you know, he ends up not killing her, and they try and work together, try and kill the queen. And you know, the ending did leave it open for a sequel. They could make a sequel off it. It didn't leave it open necessarily, but they could make a sequel off this if they wanted to, and I'm sure they will do, considering how much money this film's gonna make, because one of the theatres I went to is always empty. I don't know how they make any money, but this time it was actually full, almost full, and that rarely happens. So when that does happen, you know it's gonna be a blockbuster. But as I said, the visual effects were really good in this. I must say that they had these little fairies in them. They were about this big, and they were amazing. I was like, wow, that's good effects. And the troll, one of the trolls that was chasing him, they did some pretty good visual effects with that. And I must say, that would have been a hard scene to shoot. Like, he was slamming against the water, and it was hitting trees which were breaking down. And it would have been hard to do that, because Chris Hemsworth and Kristen Stewart, they were running through his legs, and they were, you know, dodging it. And they would have been hard, because when they were doing that scene, they would have had nothing to work with. They would have just had, like, you know, there would have been a machine there that quickly pelted or something, or there would have been, like, a little bomb into the water that would have exploded, or something like that. And they would have had nothing to work with. So when they went into the visual effects stage of the film, they would have had to do intense. That would have been poor. That scene would have taken forever, because they would have had to get that to be in the right position for them to run through the legs and him to smash the water. It would have been a hard scene to do, and if you've seen the movie, you know what I'm talking about. So yeah, I'm not going to say any more about this, because I don't want this review to go for too long. My rating out of 10 stars, I'll probably give it a 7. I'll give it a 7, 7.5. That's just for film itself. I'm going to do a quick few other categories. For soundtrack, I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10. For acting, I'm going to give it probably a 5.5 out of 10. Visual effects, let's see, probably 9 out of 10. What else is there to do? Camera work, 10 out of 10. Fantastic camera work. But although out of all, I'll give it a 7.5 out of 10, which is alright. It's not the best score I've given the film. I mean, it's worth seeing in the theatres, but you don't have to. I'm not saying you must go out and see it in the theatres. It's one that if you want to go and see a good movie and you're looking to have a good time with a few friends, this is the way to go. It is a good film. I mean, if you I mean, if you're looking to waste time, yeah, go and see it. But if you're looking for an amazing film, for an amazing 10 out of 10 film, it's not one of those. It's one of those films where it's an average, you know, go with a few friends to waste a few time film. But I must say, I actually did enjoy this film. It's not one that I'm going to say, no, don't go and see it, it's fucking shit. It's worth seeing, and I must say, it's not one worth just to skip. It's worth going to see, and the main reason I went to go see this, as I said, was for Charlize Theron, she is an amazing actress, and I give this film 7 out of 5 stars. 7.5 out of 10 stars, sorry. So thank you a lot for watching my movie review, and I don't know when my next one is going to be. It could be on The Amazing Spider-Man, or it could be on Ted. I don't know. I have no idea. Now, I also just wanted to quickly add, I forgot to add in the review by accident, Nick Frost is also in the film. I realised that as soon as he was on the screen, I was like, that's Nick Frost. He did an amazing job in this film. He did a great job in this. He was funny. All the dwarves were funny, and I forgot to add this into the film review for some reason. I blanked on it for a second. But yeah, Nick Frost's in the film. He's funny. Yes, there's a few of the dwarves I knew where they were from. I just couldn't think of their names at the moment. But he did a great job in this. Look out for him. I can't remember which dwarf he played because he didn't say their names in it. But yeah, look out for him. He's not that hard to spot. You'll know as soon as he hits the screen. You're like, that's Nick Frost. You know, they're funny buggers, them two, Nick Frost and Simon Pegg. Simon Pegg's not in the film, but Nick Frost is. And whenever those two are together, I just crack up laughing. But anyway, though, I just wanted to add that into the review quickly. Sorry about that. Alright, go do what you have to do. I'll see you on the next video. Ugh, can't get the camera to turn off.